Pale hands I loved beside the Shalimar. Where are you now? That was the song that I remembered, and I wanted to sing it as Old King George beside Georgetown. Where are you now? That was because a couple of weeks ago, I went to Georgetown. And suddenly, I found that a familiar landmark was missing. That was the statue of King George V that stands behind the Flower Bazaar police station. What I found there was a warren of shops, all tiny, tiny shops with narrow passages going through. There was no sign of the statue. Then I thought maybe the statue has been removed, taken away to the museum. Then I discovered that the statue was still there. They had done exactly what Emperor Akbar did to Anarkali. They had entombed the statue, keeping it right in the middle and surrounding it with all these shops so that you can't see it at all. Before we come to a conclusion on what we want to do with the statue, let's look at the history of the statue and what connection it has with Georgetown. Follow me. The English came to Madras, once again, 1639. We all know that. But then they took up residence in Fort St. George, and a complete town came up behind to provide services to the British. That was on the northern wall of Fort St. George. It was known as Blacktown, and it lasted there till the 18th century, when the French came and invaded, and when they left, the British decided that that old black town was a security threat. They demolished it and pushed everybody to two villages that were further to the north, Mutyalpet and Pedanayakanpet, and that became New Blacktown. The name remained till 1906. That year, in January, the Prince and Princess of Wales arrived in Madras as part of a grand Indian tour. The people of the city decided that this was the right time to petition for a change of name. But then the question arose as to what is the name that could be given to this area. Today, such liberties don't exist. The Corporation of Chennai takes a decision, hereafter this road will be known as this road. And that's it, everybody has to live with it. But in those days, it was not so. They decided to conduct a survey. And they found that a large number of residents wanted the area to be named Ampthill Town after Lord Ampthill, who was then the governor of Madras. What love they had for him or what he had done for them, I don't know. Then there was a magazine called Viveka Chintamani, and its editor, Swaminatha Iyer, decided to start a fresh campaign to name it after Prince of Wales. And that is how the place came to be known as Georgetown. I'm sure in keeping with those days, they must have all gone in procession, placed a petition before the King Emperor, no, then he was Prince of Wales, saying that your lordship, your royal highness, we want you to. And he must have said, okay, I bless it. Those were very different times indeed. And thereafter, in 1906, a GO was passed and the area came to be known as Georgetown. In 1911, King Edward VII died, and this Prince of Wales became King George V. He then arrived in India to participate in a grand imperial coronation darbar in Delhi. People in Madras decided that a statue for him had to be put up outside Georgetown, commemorating two things. One was the name change in 1906. The other was the imperial coronation darbar. Oh, how royalist we were, how imperial we were in those days. It makes you laugh. In fact, they even had competitions on songs in praise of King George. And one of them used to go, Jaya Jaya Sarvabhauma George Nama Bhubahantu Desha Deepa. I forget the rest of it. It was quite a long song. But then there were prizes awarded for the best song in praise of King George. And so at that time we had Govindadas Chaturbhujadas, a rich Gujarati magnate of the city. He had been one of the funders of the Buckingham and Carnatic Mills and was on their board. In 1913, he was elected sheriff of the city and he came forward to fund the statue. Money was sent to England to Sir Bertram McKennell, the noted sculptor. A year later, in 1914, the statue arrived and was put up behind the Flower Bazaar police station. And there it stood for 112 or 111 years or whatever it was. Come independence, the statue's condition began to deteriorate. But before that, I must take you on a survey of other statues of King George V that existed in this city. This was a king who liked to see his statues everywhere, rather like the modern day politician. And so there was a statue for him put up in 1936 when he completed 25 years as King Emperor, sculpted by M.S. Nagappa and put up outside the Madras harbour. And then there was a little ugly bust put up in Panagal Park, unveiled by Sir Mohammed Usman. And it survived almost till 2015 without a nose. And then it vanished. No, God knows where it went. The statue outside the harbour too survived for long. Today, it is somewhere in the vaults of the Chennai Museum. We are informed that there was yet another statue of King George that stood at the Gindi intersection where there is a Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel statue today. We also get to know that the builder Baron Tatikonda Nambermal Chetty funded one more statue of King George, and that was put up at Chengalpet. All of these have vanished. In the Fort St. George Museum, there is a marble bust of King George V. God knows where it came from. That's also there. So this statue standing in Georgetown is the sole survivor. Its condition deteriorated with independence and later. Out surrounding it was a vast open space, used as a parking lot during the day, an open-air latrine in the morning, and a place for Tasmac tipplers to relax in the evening. Multi-purpose, multitasking statue. And during the time there were political processions, he had a hand very conveniently like this and he would wave the flag. DMK, ADMK, MDMK, and so on. Whatever party went by on a procession, he would have the flag. But still he was there. He was there as a landmark. You could see him, you could see Georgetown behind, and you had an association between the two. Now, suddenly the Corporation of Chennai, the Greater Chennai Corporation, decided it was going to use that triangular space to put up a series of shops for hawkers. For some reason, the shops have not been inaugurated. There is an inaugural plaque, but the shops have not been opened. And that entire area has become one vast rubbish dump with a frightful smell. In the midst of it all, you find the statue still standing. And if you look at it from a distance, you can see the head of the king sticking out from all those shops, almost as though he's coming out to breathe and he's trying to take a look at what is happening in the city all around him. That is his present condition today. Do we need the statue of a colonial ruler in the middle of the city? Not really. But then we shouldn't forget that it's a historic marker. So there are two things that we can do. One, take good care of it where it stands, or have it removed and send it off to the museum where it can be kept safely. But this, putting it in the middle of a set of, it can't even be called a set. It can only be called a ghastly maze of shops and a rubbish dump, is not the right solution. You'll soon find the base of the statue covered with posters. There'll be graffiti, and then one day the statue itself may suffer damage. Let's hope that the corporation and the museums will come together and find a happy home for King George V. If you like this episode, like it, share it with your friends, and subscribe to this channel. And I promise to be back in the coming weeks with fresh episodes from the history of Madras, that is Chennai. Bye for now.